Hi, everyone. Man, that was a great radio joke. I'd like to thank my sound man, Bill, for so diligently wrapping this cord around the microphone stand. Thank you, Bill. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Act 1, the interview. Behold, God and Science and the Blind Date of Destiny. My guests today are two theologians from the Christian Theological Seminary. They both have doctorates, but we're careful to point out they might not be in theology. Charles Allen and Helene Russell, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome them to the stage. Well, hello.
Hello, Phil.
Thanks so much for joining me and joining yourselves. And I wasn't able to find any scientists.
We're not joined, but...
You're not joined?
No.
Okay, would you like to be? I'm a
No.
reverend.
No. We're not compatible.
Universal Life Church? We're not compatible?
No.
Not in those ways.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Making my own judgments.
Helene is bisexual, but
Oh, well, that'll
my
work.
God, you just told everybody.
right. But I'm not. I'm gay.
See, so the problem here is not me.
Yeah, it's me.
This is starting off better than I could have ever dreamed. So why don't we bring the entertainment value down a notch and have you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
I'm Helene Russell. I teach at Christian Theological Seminary, which is, I don't
Is
know.
that like a legit gig, or is that just something you call your basement?
No, actually,
I'm
there's
new
lots
here,
of
I don't
other
know.
people there, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's been there for a while. I don't remember the date. 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's associated with the Disciples of Christ, which is
Aren't we all?
a Christian church.
I would hope.
Yeah, but there's about 19 faculty there.
What
and
does
people
it, what does
come
it
and
take
they-
to be a disciple outside of just a follower or
Oh, no,
an
that's
advocate for?
the Christian Church Disciples of Christ started in the frontier days
like
in,
it. Keep
in
going.
this part of the country, and it was actually started as a movement trying to unify churches, but instead they started another denomination. So, but they said let's call ourselves Christians.
The best laid plans
Yeah, yeah,
always devolve into Christianity.
yeah, yeah.
You brought someone with you here today who pointed out that they'd met me at the United Methodist
Oh,
Church
yeah.
last week.
He's a
And
cool guy.
Dennis, yeah, he
Yeah,
seems rad.
Dennis.
What's up,
Go,
Dennis?
Dennis.
Where is Dennis?
He's been sharpening those pencils using that rocket thing.
My God, you just told everyone. And so I was at this Methodist church, and I'll explain later, and I noticed in the program there were two people listed as acolytes.
It's actually a bulletin, but yeah.
Is that a Methodist thing?
No, other people have acolytes too.
Yeah,
they
like
usually
World of
carry,
Warcraft has
torches.
acolytes.
They carry candles.
No, they're spellcasters, and they work for the they work for like the King of the Damned or something. The World of Warcraft? No.
Haven't played it.
That was the first time I had encountered that word, and
Oh,
then the
really?
next time I encountered it was in a sanctuary, and I was a little stunned.
I can see the confusion.
Can
On
you?
your
Because I'm
face.
trying really
Yeah.
hard to project, again, another great radio joke. So Christian Theological Seminary. It's been
I
around
teach
since
theology.
the 60s. You teach theology
I
there?
teach theology, and I have a little bird. Her name is Tangelo. She's very cute.
Great. Charles?
I'm Charles Allen, and I am an Episcopal priest. I have been a professor at CTS since the 90s, and I'm actually, my full-time job now is as a campus chaplain for the Episcopal Church and for the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and I'm at Butler University.
Jesus, your title is like a resume in itself.
I'm afraid. What else am I?
IUPUI.
But yeah, I do. I try to do some things at IUPUI. It's just hard to get anything to happen there because
You could
people have
streak
full-time lives outside of the classroom, and they tend to go home. So if you announce something, you don't know if anybody's going to show up for it or not.
Would you like to announce anything now? Are you talking about like pet class projects that you're trying to get people to attend, like random things you
Like
just
if
want to teach
we were
someone?
going to have an event or something like that. Most of what I've done now, I actually do attend the meetings for advocates for sexual equality, because I think it's important for the LGBT students to know that they've got support from some of the churches around here. So
Concurred. Do you have any disciples yet?
Disciples of
be
Christ or disciples of Charles?
Disciples in the arm of Charles that is the advocacy of the awareness that some churches are totally into gays.
well, we have the Episcopal Church.
The Episcopalians, Episcopalians were my favorite when I was in high school. I played jazz piano for different church events and things, and the Episcopalians drank the most, which meant that I got the most tip money. Like, there would always be that one guy who, like, do you know all of me? Harold, leave him alone. Oh, I'm having fun with the boy. Do you know? And he would have just asked me this 20 minutes ago, and I would have already have played it. And I would pretend like, well, I don't know, maybe if it's in the book. And he'd be like, I'll give you $10. I'd be like, well, I'll give it a try. And then half an hour later, it's the same circus. Anyway, Episcopalians, big fan. That's all I wanted to say about that. What they are, or what their difference between an Episcopalian and a Methodist and a Baptist and a Southern Baptist and a Pentecostal and an evangelist, and
We're Catholic light.
I'll take that. Thank you. And thank you for being here, by the way. I brought you here so that
We're
we could...
happy to be here.
I could tell by your face. Thank you. So we've learned a little bit about what it is that you are and what it is that you do. That was phrased awkwardly. I apologize.
What I am and who I do. No, what did you say? I guess you learned that too.
If you know any of that information, please write it down for the Q&A period. That would be awesome. But we are here today to make, the Super Bowl is coming up, so we're just going to ignore it and talk about important things like... Thank you. Plus, I did my Super Bowl show in October, okay? Look it up. People on the radio shuffle papers sometimes to make it sound like they're looking for something that was right in front of them the entire time. Illusion, God, science.
Interesting transition there.
Juxtaposition, yeah.
I'm just making this shit up. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it our turn to make shit up?
Go for it. You have support.
Yeah.
The conch is yours.
The conch is ours. So, Charles,
I thought this is your idea. What?
did you have a question for us, Phil, or did you just want us to, talk about my bird?
D'Angelo.
Tangelo, yeah.
Tangelo. I heard
Tangelo.
D'Angelo. He went from an
Tangelo.
Italian American to a fruit rather quickly.
Comment.
The reason that I had the idea for this particular show was because of a news article I read about the Higgs boson particle.
Yeah!
Which has not been found. But they're closer than ever before. And as you know, and I don't know if you guys know, the Higgs boson particle is a subatomic force. It's not really a particle, it's an energy, if I understand the concept correctly. And they haven't found it at the Large Hadron Super Collider out in Switzerland, but that's the reason it was built, to find it, because there's a model of the universe, the standard model of physics, and correct me if I'm wrong, and without the Higgs boson particle, the standard model doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. So they have to find it to prove this theory. So, and they'll never be able to find it. The only way they can prove it exists is by finding evidence of its passing, by finding footprints, if you will. And I was wondering, if they found those footprints, would physics and science finally have their own set of footprints to frame in a little pithy quote on the wall for the religious version, except like at the end it would say, "Why in my darkest hour did you leave me?" Because I am a non-conscious aspect of the standard model of physics applied to an unfeeling universe.
That sounds a little bit like Siri.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. There's a great web short about this married couple getting in a fight via their voice activation on their phones. It's stellar. Check it out. Check it out right now. Fuck it, why not? So, I don't know those people. I don't know why I'm plugging them. My point being, my question turned into a long-winded statement. What I want to know is, why do God and science have to be opposed to each other, or why have they been opposed to each other, historically speaking? You know, why, when we found out the sun wasn't the center of the universe, why was this threatening? When there are new developments in science, does this threaten God? I mean, God created the world. Shouldn't science be flattering to him?
Or her.
Or her, or it, or Tangelo?
Yeah, Tangelo. Well, a short answer. I've never done
That
a short
was pretty
answer,
short.
have I? A short answer might be having to do with the confusion that folks have about the notion of faith. And people, this is from Paul Tillich, actually a theologian, people often confuse faith and belief. And they think belief is belief is a claim that is a cognitive claim. It's usually a thought. When you say, I believe something, you're saying, I think that this is true. Whereas faith is not limited to the cognition. Faith is also a reaction and a response of the whole person.
Belief is a choice. Faith is an internal feeling, a knowledge.
Well, it could be feeling, but it's spirit in the sense of it's integrating experience, emotional experience, cognitive experience, will in terms of what you're going to will or desire, how you're going to behave. It's more of a whole person thing rather than simply I believe X is true. So faith is not equal to I believe X is true. But I think some people have confused those two. Therefore, if you say I believe in creation versus I believe in evolution, then you're confusing, what do they call it? Category errors.
Category mistake. Yeah.
Category mistake. See, he knows the real answer.
That's why we brought him.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's why I think that science and religion often are fighting with each other, and I don't think they have to be fighting with each other.
Because science is a series of beliefs?
Science is a series of claims about what is true about the universe.
Which
Or
are
world.
not provable?
They can be, I don't know if they're provable or not, but they're closer to being provable than theological claims, which really have to do with how we live and why it's important. Meaning. They're questions about meaning rather than necessarily X, Y, and Z must be true, in my mind.
Questions about the meaning of life have come to dominate things as opposed to questions about the meaning is not so much important so much as the experience of meaning. People aren't seeking meaning, they're seeking an experience of meaning. And whether they find that in a laboratory or in a church. I mean, my point kind of was, you know, this Higgs boson particle is supposed to be a force that gives mass to matter, which is a series of bizarre puns we won't explore, but it is a force that binds everything together. It's why it was called the God particle, even though it was referred to initially as that goddamn particle, and then got shortened. But people thought that it applied because, you know, scientists are looking for this force that is unseeable. You can never prove that it exists. You can only prove that it might have been there recently. And it was this similar search. You know, there are scientists who have faith that it exists, and they try to prove its existence. And I wonder if it'll never be proved, will science split into two camps of like, well, I believe in the standard model of physics, and I believe in the other model, and there'll be this divisions within the religion of science and pursuing science as its own religion.
You got the Protestants and the Catholics, yeah?
Protestants? Never heard of them. You mean the protesters?
There's those
it was the year
too.
of the protester last year.
It is.
Is
It
that
was,
where
wasn't
Protestantism
it?
came
Yeah.
from?
No, it was a long time ago. But, you got the Methodists on one hand, and you got the, Catholics and Episcopalians on the other.
I wish I did know what you were talking about, but I'm really bad about the divisions. I mean, ever since the Bible got printed in secular languages and mass-produced in the late 1500s, early 1600s.
You remember that?
Yes, I do. Because since then, the split. I mean, it went. There was the Eastern Western Orthodox split, and then the Catholicism stayed pretty strong until Protestantism, and that was big. And then since then, we really, there's 30 listable splits of Christianity that we could name, and there's more every day. More people are starting their own, and this is arguably why Christianity was so successful, as opposed to say Judaism, because Judaism's like, no, it's this one thing. That's it. And
but there are varieties of Judaism too, though.
Well,
so
now
it's I think. Probably the split got worse with Protestants because they tried to put a lot of weight on the Bible that I don't think it was ever meant to bear.
Like what?
Well, they...
Condoms?
You might want to get one if you have a Bible. But
Sage advice.
They treated it as if it were an answer book that was supposed to answer all their questions, and it's not. It's a diverse collection of literature, and it's really just the earliest traditions that we have. They tried to play it off against what they call tradition. They had discovered that a lot of things in tradition weren't true, but then they said, but the Bible, there's no mistakes in that, and well.
There are.
So it was trying to make the Bible into a kind of book that it doesn't even resemble. All you have to do is read it, and it's not an answer book.
People are busy, Charles.
I know. But if you say it's an answer book, then you probably ought to read it. And the people who have the most dogmatic views about the Bible and who make the most outlandish claims about it are usually people who have read very little of it.
Or had certain bits of it read to them.
Right.
Even
They know
worse.
how to look up a passage, they know how to look up a verse and quote it to try to prove an argument, but they never sat down and read how that verse got there,
Well,
what came before and what came after.
Let's push it a little farther back before the Bible even. Different types of gods have come and gone throughout history. Save your questions for intermission. And are we in a phase of history, are we in a monotheistic patriarchal phase of history, 100, 1,000 years? Or are we going to look back on that single God theory that we were all fighting about? Oh, what a laugh. I'm so glad we've all found Scientology now. We look at the Parthenon and we kind of chuckle, oh, those silly Greeks, those silly Romans. Are we going to be those people that history looks back on like, oh man, I can't believe the shit we believed?
Well, I really would like to believe that there will always be Episcopalians, and that there will be lots of incense, and that
and altar boys.
And that. That's.
Altar young adults.
Can you have altar young adults? How old?
Yeah,
what's the
acolytes
cutoff
can be
age?
adults.
Can I be
Acolytes
like a
can be
60-year-old
adults.
altar boy?
Oh, we have 60-year-old altar boys.
Hot.
Mm-hmm. So, but I think I expect there to be all kinds of religious expression that we haven't even dreamed of yet. So.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I think that's in the Bible. Somewhere.
Do you having lived intimately close to various theologies throughout your professional lives, do you find that religion ultimately is an attempt to legislate ethical and moral behavior, and if so, has it been successful?
No and no.
I concur.
All right, moving on.
Particularly using the word ultimately.
I said moving on. Are computers an extension of God's will?
God, I hope not.
I think God finds them entertaining.
Would you list 3 or 4 more things that you think God finds entertaining?
Well, just about anything we do.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say Justin Bieber. Let's move on.
Ew.
He does nothing for me. But
Amen. All right. I'm out of questions. Do you have anything you'd like to add? I mean, I feel like we've really come to the bottom of it here. I think everyone's going to leave going, oh, that's what it's all about.
right.
I think it's about wonder.
One nerd?
Wonder. Approaching life with wonder and
It's like-
mystery.
That makes more sense than my one nerd theory.
Yeah.
Wonder, it's, you were saying. That was a beautiful sentiment, and I was cracking wise.
I understand.
Helene and I both are theologians because we have been. I mean, we both are profoundly aware of a presence in our life that we think is just inexplicable. And we're trying to be consistent about the fact that it's inexplicable. And that means there's plenty of rooms for people to question what faith means, and there's plenty of room for people to be as skeptical as they want to be. There's just nothing to fear from asking questions about this, because in a sense, if you didn't, I would suspect that you're simply repeating what somebody else told you because you think you're supposed to.
And I would suspect that you'd be out of a job. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the interview section, ladies and gentlemen. Bar break, and please write down your questions for Charles, for Helene, for myself, and we will be back in 15 minutes for part 2. Funny about that. God, science, and the blind date of destiny.